the biggest crisis that humanity is faced is the population crisis. We are at a point of no return. I always say, to build the right team, there's an average of 3 iterations. 90% of companies, startups, fail within the first 3 years.
Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of the podcast in partnership with Smartcast and Najahi Events. More about these two awesome organizations later. Today's guest, an Emirati. So we don't have many Emiratis on the show, but he's looking at education completely differently. Dr. Adil Alzarooni is an Emirati leader of entrepreneurial teams and an educator. He has over 2 decades of experience in executive management, investments, sales, logistics, IT security, economic zone development, sustainability of family businesses, and education. He has served in various leadership positions within the UAE government entities, as well as family-owned businesses, and now he's the CEO of Alzarooni Emirates Investments. His latest venture is the Citizen School, a new school in Dubai that reimagines education and gives children the opportunity to make their own choices in a non-selective and inclusive environment. Can't wait to talk about it because I've been learning about this in the background and I know that you are going to enjoy what this guy's got to say. So let's cue the music and get stuck in. Organizations such as Smartcast, who are solving the problem of food security in the world, have supported this podcast because they believe in the mission that I'm on. When you understand the work that they do at trying to solve the problem with this massive population growth we've been having over the years and providing a way of bringing food safely to everybody, it really is something I admire. And lastly, thank you to Najahi Events, who have been sponsoring us now on the podcast for over a year. Najahi bring motivational speakers to the region to help inspire, educate, and motivate you to achieve better success and live a better life. So first of all, welcome, Dr. Adil Alzarooni. It's quite a name, isn't it? Do you like to be called a doctor, or do you like to be called Adil? What do your friends call you?
Actually, my father asked me once, he says, what are you a doctor in? I said, well, it depends on who speaks to me. In my case, I said a urologist, probably.
So if I go back...
So I'm not used yet to the concept of being called a doctor, but more so people feel more comfortable with it.
Really?
Yeah. Because, in us Emiratis, we are usually referred to as, the father of somebody. Like in my case, I'm Abu Badr. My eldest son is Badr. And if they don't, they would like to call you in a respectful way. And a doctor is equally interesting as a respectful way. If they don't know who if you have kids or the name of it. So yeah.
Okay, before we get started, I've got quite a few Emirati friends, but we have quite a bit of fun about this. I've been in Dubai 17 years, but there's lots of people that are fairly new to Dubai. And they see you guys all dressed the same in your kandoras, okay, either in the shopping mall or a coffee shop. The favorite one is Starbucks and Emirates Towers. That seems to be very popular. And there's an element of mystery and fear to some degree, thinking, who is this person? How important are they? Do you guys have a bit of fun with that as well? Do you know that people think like that?
I used to go to the different companies that I run. And I get in and I see them a bit anxious, and I was like, trying to keep a distance. I didn't understand why. I really didn't. And it took me a while to realize that my driver used to actually go and talk to them about bosses coming and be respectful. And it's like, no, I'm not that guy. I'm friendly. I'm just don't scare people around me. Yeah. Do we have fun about it? No, I think it's really the fact that we as a community are a bit introverted to a certain degree. We have our cultural zone that we enjoy. We are relatively quiet. I mean, as a community, we don't judge much, respectful, don't have many subjects to talk about really. I mean, I wouldn't say we are boring. We are not. We can be really funny. But we tend to keep to ourselves. That's the reality. We don't get involved in others' cultures and
No, you
like try
don't.
to influence them. You'd probably notice that.
Yeah, we do,
We
yeah.
don't try to influence others' cultures. I mean, we are happy with what you do as long as you keep, a healthy overall attitude. That's what we care for. And probably, I think a lot of us don't like to be judged also. For the fact that we are a bit maybe different socially. Yeah. And this is why you see a lot of Emiratis being relatively a bit isolated. I think that is changing in a good way. And I would encourage the ones that, see us different to come and talk to us, because we are extremely friendly. Don't be fooled or swayed by the dress code. We wear these dresses because they are super convenient.
Yeah.
It's the same color all year long.
Yeah.
I mean, how convenient is that? You understand me? And it's really breezy also. So
But it's a bit like Mark Zuckerberg, who says I wear the same T-shirt and same color every day. Well, when he says it though, everyone says, what a clever idea that is,
It
I think
is.
you guys have been doing it for centuries.
It is, yes. It's very convenient. The same, you would never know if I did wear it for like 10 days, although we are very hygienic. I mean, we changed.
One of my Emirati friends, Omar Al Baswadi, I met him for the first time maybe 10 years ago in Abu Dhabi. And I met him at a hotel foyer. And he's in his Kandora, but he had a really bright pair of Nike sneakers on, like orange and blues and whatnot. And so I didn't say anything at first. I didn't know how to approach it. And then after a while, I said to him, "Look, I'm a little bit confused. Well, why do you wear such bright sneakers? Why are you wearing sneakers? That's not usual." He said, "Have you tried to wear those sandals?" I was like, "No." He said, "They're really uncomfortable." He said, "Sneakers are so much better."
I wouldn't agree. He just didn't have. He didn't have a good experience with some sandals. But sandals are very airy.
Yeah.
You could imagine. And if you wear the good ones, they are super convenient. Not to say that sneakers are not very comfortable, but in this weather when it's a bit hot, it can accumulate a bit of moist, if you know what I mean. Sandals are super, and you can use them as a weapon. Also, you can take them off and throw it on somebody. It's a classic scene.
It is. I watched this stuff on YouTube called FouseyTube, where there's a guy and he's going in the mosque and his buddy's next to him on the phone saying, "Where are we going for dinner tomorrow night?" And he's like, "I'm praying, shut up," and whatnot. It's really funny how we can see the funny side of everybody's culture. We can enjoy it. Okay, well, thank you for coming to join us today. I appreciate you taking time.
Appreciate it.
You're quite an interesting guy, and you've got quite a few stories to tell. You've gone quite a journey, but maybe let's start with entrepreneurship, and then think about how that word had an impact in your life, okay, and the kind of things that you've done along the way that have really allowed you to lean into that kind of stuff.
So from an education point of view, I'm a telecom engineer, and I functioned as an ethical hacker for a few years for telecom companies. Then I wanted to change field because I've always felt that I need to understand how to do business. My family is in business, and I thought that I would like to equip myself with understanding the business world. So I went for a master's in business and also shifted from the telecom industry, and I joined the government of Dubai, JAFZA per se, and I got into this function of, so I led on the function of global sales, as well as economic zones development. This led me to get exposed to a lot of industries, a lot of interesting people, travel all around the world and understand economies. And at a point in time, my family entrusted me to structure a family office and start venturing into new businesses, new lines of businesses. And I did that, got into a number of interesting industries, got into healthcare, education, financial services, consumerism, technology, logistics. Did win some, did lose some. And in doing so, I accumulated a lot of experience on what not to do, and what is good to do, and as well as to grow this network of trustworthy partners, have a great team that I lead on. And as I grew into these experiences, I became as I was building my family office, I wanted to do it in a like best practices. I've realized that best practices in this field do not look deep into context. I decided to research that, and I said, you know what, let's do a PhD on this. So I did my PhD on family businesses sustainability. It became a passion, and now I run 2 family offices, and I have my own group also that I have created. Going through a lot of wins and losses probably have sharpened me into being always in the mood of building businesses. And going through different stages of life, when I'm asked today, what do I enjoy the most? What gets me to wake up excited, which is something I care about? I would say on average, it's building. So venture building, this is what I enjoy the most today. And that's my tiny entrepreneurship story.
When you look at the Middle East, it reminds me, or particularly the UAE, it reminds me of what happened in the gold rush. There were an opportunity in the gold rush in America. People came into San Francisco. They were going to go and find their future, find their wealth, find their success.
Yeah.
And the guy that made the most money was the guy that was selling the shovels and the picks and stuff like that.
Yes.
I look at Dubai over the last 17 years that I've been here, and it seems to have really attracted a lot of people that have come in and said, I'm going to make my future here. I'm going to be successful. And it's required a certain fearlessness, a certain entrepreneurial flair for people to go out and create that success for themselves. And that from all walks of life, whether that be people coming over from the Philippines or from Pakistan, or people coming from Russia or the UK, people have come here and gone, hold on a minute, this place has opportunity and I want to tap into that. Do you think that Emiratis, because of the place they live in and being exposed to so much opportunity, do you think entrepreneurialism comes as a kind of like a standard bearer for Emiratis and how they think? Do you think that every Emirati outside of working in the government becomes entrepreneurial by default?
Unfortunately not. We didn't claim so. I think I think a portion of the society enjoys the less sophisticated life, so the easy-ish life that they live in, and they don't see the necessity to need to explore entrepreneurship and getting into the business world. Not to say that that it is good or bad. Those are lifestyle choices that I always respect in people. Mm-hmm. Whatever helps you sleep better and makes you excited is what I consider as a good quality of life. And if that means you are happy with being an employee somewhere, voila. If you are happier being an entrepreneur and waking up into this business struggle, then you enjoy the challenge of building things, and you discover that in yourself, then that is good. But do I believe that Emiratis en masse are entrepreneurial in nature and see that their future is in business? I don't believe so. I think the government wants to push them into that direction. I think they have spent a lot of effort in doing so. I do, though, still believe that there are certain variables that need solving before that becomes a reality.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Bear in mind also that the others that come from abroad, they come out of hunger and need.
Mm-hmm.
They let go of everything so that they come into an environment that allows them to shine and gives them fair grounds. And many at times, this is what just people want a fair chance. And I think Dubai, UAE in general, has been able to create this platform where people can actually compete in a relative fairness and on common ground, so that the ones that spend the necessary effort with the necessary intelligence can actually win.
I think that because there is no unemployment benefit, and because there is no, in the UK, people will go there and potentially, get the benefit of free housing, get the benefit of an income coming in. There isn't necessarily the same mindset towards being there.
Yes.
If you go back to after the Second World War, when lots of people from India and from the West Indies came to the UK to help rebuild it after the war, there was definitely an entrepreneurial mindset then. It was, get out there and make it happen. There's an
survival.
opportunity. Yeah, survival. Yeah, that's a good word. Yeah, survival. But and here you have exactly the same thing. If you want to be here, then roll your sleeves up and get stuck in, because that's your option.
Yes.
Or get on a plane and go back home.
Yes. And why many of them decide to sit? Because they see a fair chance.
Mm-hmm.
See, you would be in many countries whereby you are restricted by a lot of variables. For example, the level of competition, paying power, level of corruption, ease of doing business, population size, so on and so forth. So, as well as geopolitical positioning of the area you are in, accessibility to surrounding markets, gap in offering, the standard of living of people in mass, and many of them see that these variables, whether directly or indirectly, would give them a fair chance if they spend the effort here versus in their respective hometowns or their respective countries. And they decide to stay. Let us also not ignore the fact that it is a very safe country, besides being very low in corruption. Safety is a very costly commodity. People just don't see it in that. Many people don't realize that fact. It's a very expensive commodity. And I think UAE has played it well, so that we are always seen as the most safe environment for people and families and kids and so on and so forth. So I think there are a few variables that push people to come here and take the risk despite the shortages on, for example, having social security in many instances. I think
what's the negative about having all these foreigners in your country? What's the negative? There's lots of positives, I'm sure you'll tell me, but what are the challenges that you see? Because the Emirati population was once 100%,
yes.
And it's slowly dwindled to what is it? I think it's 11%.
It's now anywhere between 11 and 12, and it will decay to less than 10% quite fast.
There's not another country in the world where that is the.
I mean, look at it.
I'm trying to think of somewhere. Monaco, maybe, but yeah, there's nowhere in the world I think that the indigenous population is only 10% of the population.
Let us talk about the positives first. The positives are for the local indigenous population. The positives are the government that is currently taxing a 10 million population, but predominantly responsible for 1 million in population when it comes to housing and it comes to marriage support, education, healthcare. That tax return is probably substantial enough to cover a good chunk of that small population.
Yeah.
So it gives them security, which I think is a smart way of doing things. A. B. Today, we as a population, we enjoy the fact that our country is multinational, where everything comes to us. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the latest and the greatest, not only in the concepts of commodities, luxury items, malls, or experiences, or dining, but we also get ideas. Okay, from people coming in with new concepts that could start global phenomena. So I think it brings in minds and a lot of cultural exchanges happen in a positive way. Yes, we are as an indigenous community are a bit do stay to ourselves, but we are highly influenced today by many cultures, and we attempt and try to take the best of the best. And I think vice versa happens also. And I think a lot of foreigners come here and appreciate certain aspects of our community culture and behavior. and they'd like to reflect them back onto their own communities, which is a good thing. I think the country has done a really good job in harmony amongst indigenous and many other cultures. You know how many nationalities we have here.
All of them, I think.
All of them. And and believe me, you'll find enemies globally. They'll kill each other in their respective regions. But when they come here, they are friends and they talk, and they don't touch politics and they don't touch these kind of cultural subjects. Why is that? It's because, as in any culture and as any country, if it is safe, if you get a job, you are able to feed your kids and family, they have decent education, decent healthcare. What do you want more? So most people don't care about any of that noise if they have what they need. They only start talking about this and becomes a subject when they lack things in their lives. This is the way I probably, from an unqualified position, think the case is.
Let's talk about education. You're a successful entrepreneur yourself. You know, you've told us a bit about that story. My two daughters are 20 and 22 years old. My 22-year-old just graduated this summer from university, and she was the first person in my family to ever go to university.
Interesting.
And my youngest is still there. She graduates next year. And I put them through expensive educations and expensive universities because I felt that's what they needed. But there has been more and more talk over recent years about how the education system is broken and how kids are not being taught what they need to be taught so they can go on and succeed in life themselves. And my eldest, when she graduated in July, she's like, I did that for you. I could have been at work for the last 4 years and I did that for you. And I was like, well, you did it for you actually, but you know, I paid for it.
Okay.
But she felt that 4 years in the workplace might have taught her more than 4 years of university. I don't know whether you agree with that or not, but that was her opinion. But because there's so much noise now that's coming out with, you know, university is broken, there needs to be a different way, education system is broken, there needs to be a different way. Why do people need to know about, I don't know, Pythagoras' theory, you know, when they're never going to use it in life? What do you make of that and that kind of noise, and what do you feel about the education system and what's broken about it and what's good about it?
What's the fastest object in the universe?
The fastest object in the universe, the speed of light? I don't know.
You almost said the speed of light, yes?
Speed of light, yeah.
Most people will answer me that.
Okay.
It's actually the speed of this expansion of the universe that we are in. And that piece of information was taught to me by my 12 years old son. When I gathered my teachers, the teachers in my school, I asked them this question. And nobody was able to answer. I couldn't answer. You couldn't answer. So my statement was, kids today know better than the teachers. Because they consume information with social media. They have access to all kinds of information. Whatever they want to access, it's there and it is for free and it is in a click of a button or a small TikTok video that comes and teaches them something instant, relevant to their interest. So the role of a teacher is not the role that they used to play before, because teachers before had studied a subject, they've gone through these books that us as kids didn't have access to, nor that we were able to know how to read or, you know, make sense of, or probably nor that we even had the interest in. Yeah? So they covered these books, and now they try and deliver what they have covered in those books into a mass set of students. Is that the role of teachers today? I don't think so, because the kids they teach will probably know more than them, and they are more updated than them in many, many aspects. That is a scary concept, by the way, to teachers. So in my opinion, it's not about delivering the information now, the role of an education system. It's guiding on how to use information. And what are the targets of guidance usually, in my opinion? Why would I guide anybody on how to use information? I would usually guide them to achieve few objectives. A, that they have a skill whereby they can have an economic contribution to themselves or their families, or that they can enhance their quality of life or quality of life of others, contribute to society, and so on and so forth. That's the ultimate objective. I mean, why do we teach anybody? Why is there schools? Because they are ideally meant to deliver, at the end of the education experience, individuals that can contribute economically and to the standard of living and to society. That's what, unless you could imagine something else. Those are the basis of the need to educate. Yeah. In the current era, whereby information is so readily available, where kids know more than the teachers, they are more updated than the teachers. What's the role of the teacher? In my opinion, their role is to mentor. And how are you able to mentor? You can only mentor if you have experience. So the role of a teacher that graduates as a teacher, in my opinion, will diminish.
So we watched a movie years and years ago called Cocktail with Tom Cruise in. And he's in there and he's hustling and he wants to be an entrepreneur. He wants to be a successful business owner. So he goes to evening classes to learn how to be a business person, yeah? And the lecturer gave him some grief, about something to do with, what he hadn't studied or the question he asked. And Tom Cruise said, how are you on earth able to teach me a subject that you've never lived yourself?
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
And that really resonated with me. And it resonated with me throughout my life as I started to think about people that are in the coaching space as well.
Yeah.
It's like mentors and coaches are very different. Mentors are people that have walked in the shoes that you're going to walk in.
Yes.
And if there's someone that's walked in the shoes that you're going to walk in, they are going to have the best knowledge and experience to be able to share and help you and guide you along your way. Would you agree with that?
Exactly.
Okay. So to look at the education system, to look at my daughter, she did a degree in graphic design and communications at the University of Arts in London. My youngest is doing a degree in filmmaking, and we're currently making a documentary. And we invited her. So Sophia and I were in Nepal, and we invited her to come and be a production assistant.
Yes.
For a bit of work experience.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And so she arrived. I'm studying film. I know everything about film. I've been doing this for the last 2 years. I've got this. And then she was watching the cameramen doing their job, and she stopped one of them. Or when he stopped, she said, "How do you go and get that angle on that shot so quickly?" He said, 20 years experience.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, she was like, "Oh,
Yes.
okay, maybe I don't know everything I need to know."
Yes. So that's the case. To think in the mode of problem solving or opportunity finding, in my opinion, this is engraved in our DNA. This is how we survived. The education system, though, does not attend to that. You are punished if you make a mistake. Statistically, 90% of companies, startups, fail within the first 3 years. How is not failure a huge part of success? How can I punish people for failing if for them to reach their success, 90% of what they have to do has to fail? Do you understand me?
I really understand you.
So to punish for failure is good for employees, not for entrepreneurs, not for builders of solutions, not for people that will enhance quality of life and be self-feeding, self-sufficient.
Tell me about this school that you set up, because I'm fascinated to learn more about it. I think it's a great idea. It's for me, I'm going to say this is quite a bold statement. I think it's the future of education.
When people ask me this question, I usually don't like to entertain big titles because I don't want to be negative towards the others. What am I concerned with and what am I trying to build? I don't want teachers, I want mentors. But try to find mentors in the market that will teach in a school. That's
Challenging.
very challenging. So I have to make them.
Okay.
So teachers that we've selected are teachers that I would select to join my venture studios. So I have 2 venture studios in the school.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about the school so everyone can get an idea of it.
The school is called Citizens. I call it Citizens because Citizens, I want it to be an experience more so than a school in the conventional way of looking at the school. So Citizens as an education experience. It's 9 years in the making because I wanted to put in a concept that is really relevant and something that I would hope to spend the rest of my life developing and being able to grow generations that will contribute positively to themselves and their community. The school is in Dubai. It's just opposite to City Walk. It's a British curriculum school plus, and the pluses are predominantly a lot of futuristic academies like Blockchain Academy, Metaverse Academy, Sustainable Farming Academy, Arts, Sports, and so on. Facilities. So I think I have some of the best facilities there is in the UAE or even the region. So Olympic football pitch, semi-Olympic pool, and many other sports and arts facilities. And the last plus is the venture studios. When I'm asked, it's a great idea, why do you have venture studios in a school? Mm-hmm. The kids are too young. I don't think they are too young because we have in our program, we start teaching them about creative thinking and entrepreneurship and finding solutions and problems from as young as 4 years old. We have a joint venture with a company called 8 Billion Ideas, and we start from 4 years old. So it's in the curriculum. And the venture studios is predominantly targeting the teachers, so that the teachers gain hands-on experience about how to identify research, identify gaps, problems, opportunities, and take it from a problem or an opportunity to a business model, a business plan, and deliver on a product or a service that adds value to community. Unless we take them to such a journey, how should we expect kids to come out of the school with such a mentality? Mm-hmm. The teachers have to understand how to extract problems and opportunities, how to team up, communicate, and evolve a product or a service that people would enjoy.
Where you say 9 years in the making.
Yeah.
Where does an idea like that come from? What frustration did you experience, or what did you acknowledge that made you say, hold on a minute, I'm going to do this?
So it took me almost a couple of years to just figure out, what is a model that I would like to produce an experience, an education experience. I come from other industries like healthcare and also, and we've done the same in other industries. So we've always got into industries with an experience, evolved something relatively new, and in most cases we have succeeded in delivering a product or a service that was appreciated, and most of these companies are sold now in my case. So coming from that mentality, I wanted to penetrate the education sector with the mentality of producing something different, something relevant, something that people want, but do it properly, like the hard way.
But if you think about it, knowing the entrepreneur that you are, family offices, so there's potential investment opportunities for those family offices. You create essentially an incubator of young, bright, brilliant minds, okay? We talk about the metaverse space and the blockchain space, so the future of money, the future of technology. It could almost be like a full circle structure where you're building this education system that creates these talented entrepreneurs that go on to require investment in their businesses, that you both help to develop. They bring their skills, knowledge, and experience, and you bring the money and your skills, knowledge, and experience, and potentially,
I'm winning partners. I'm building my own partners.
yeah,
You understand me? And that's a habit that I had either ways with my employees. So I push them to lead. I try to find leaders amongst them, and then I partner with them. Imagine building an ecosystem whereby I produce partners.
yeah.
You understand me?
So you're saying that with a bit of a smile on your face.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that's
yeah,
exactly what you think.
I think if I succeed, it's a jackpot. I mean, how nice is that? Many ask me, what if a teacher that becomes an entrepreneur, why would they stay teaching? I say, well, if they become entrepreneurs, they are my partners now. Yeah.
So it's very hard for you to find the mentors, the teachers, because that doesn't typically gel, does it? You know, a teacher sits in that kind of like salaried payment system. The entrepreneur mentor type fits outside of that. So finding those types of people that are efficient and effective and brilliant, okay, is probably one of your biggest challenges, isn't it? Is it?
It is. It is a challenge. But I always say, to build the right team, always, there's an average of 3 iterations. Average.
Uh-huh.
So the fastest way for you to find those leaders, those effective individuals that can actually grow ventures, but at the same time have a social purpose, and would enjoy delivering, handing over that experience to a younger generation, go through that painful exercise of knowledge transfer. It's not impossible, it's there. But the fast way to get to it is to actually go through the fails fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So be very meticulous about, recruit them, see them on ground. Do they gel? Do they act? Do they take responsibility? Do they lead? If they don't, you change them fast. Not to say that those are bad people or good people. It's never a bad people. Is it the right person doing the right thing at the right place as per the plan? Mm-hmm. And that's my role. My role is only to find people. If you really think of it, what am I doing? I just roam around, try to find good people that I can make leaders of, and then I would enjoy partnering with.
Give me the statistics you told me when we were talking before we were on camera, the statistics of what percentage of the population in 25, 30 years' time are going to need to be entrepreneurs.
Yeah, 40%. It's survival. 40% of them will have to self-feed. They have to be entrepreneurs.
Why is that?
Because of many aspects. A, population will stagnate and start dropping. Second, AI will take a lot of jobs away. So unless what you come up with is a problem that AI hasn't yet solved, then it would not be needed, because you are less efficient than the machines. A lot of jobs of the future will have to be linked to creativity, lifestyle, team management, communication, more so than attending to routine tasks. Routine tasks will be taken over by the machine. They are already taken over by the machine. But that will propagate even further with the biggest crisis that Earth or humanity is facing, not Earth. Earth doesn't care about us. Humanity is facing is the population crisis. We are at a point of no return. We will dive very fast, shrink as a species, which means economies will shrink, jobs will shrink. The prospect of the future will become dim, to become negative rather than positive. When they say to you that the stock market is the safest place for you to put money, it always recovers. It gets sick, but it always recovers. It's always growth. Why does it grow? It grows predominantly because population grows, and predominantly countries move from being underdeveloped to more developed. Machines came and gave us some more efficiency, so there is more margin in economies or in business. This is why stock markets are being. But then let demand become lower for products and services.
Yeah.
How would the market react? How would the global economy react? How would people sentiment do to jobs and economies. It is very doomy, by the way. We are living, I don't know if you potentially could realize, we are living the golden era of humanity now. It's not going to be nice for the next generation. And we have to equip them for it. I'm sorry if I'm a bit negative.
I love it.
But I think it's substantiated, or at least from an assumption point of view, from my perspective. Those are facts. Population is going to stagnate very soon. Most statistics say at around 9.3. We're at 8 now, which means 30 to 50 years from now. There are countries that can never recover their population, even if they try their best, like China.
Mm-hmm.
It's way below their recovery rates. US since the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Many parts of Europe, this is why they accept immigrants, because they are aging. They don't build families.
Mm-hmm.
Even the concept of marriage in many countries disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no coverage for the concept of producing more to create bigger economic structures has diminished in favor of quality of life. But that would become a shooting ourselves in the foot very soon.
How many brothers and sisters have you got?
7.
7. So
We are 7, I'm including me.
including you. So my mother has 5. My father has 3. I am 2, and it's pretty normal that 1 or 2 children come into the world from lots of families. But it's pretty normal in the Western world anyway. However, we still see this population go down because more women are pursuing careers rather than wanting to be families.
Many aspects. More women wants to pursue careers, but predominantly in developed countries, couples start contemplating enjoying life. So they want to have less responsibilities. They want to travel more. They want to. So this is why they don't opt to, including me. I mean, they don't opt to produce as much as their parents did, and this is a common phenomena in the world. UAE in the 90s, 80s and 90s, it was 4.7 kids per couple. UAE nationals, the indigenous. Now it's, if I'm not mistaken, 2.7 or 4, less than half. Why? Because we developed as a country. Couples started, focusing. It's like, okay, we'll focus on 2 and like give them the best we can, rather than spreading that energy on 5. And we know what 2 is enough because I don't want to travel and enjoy life. You can't blame them for it, but the impact of that economically is gonna be scary.
So the impact on that also from an education system point of view is obviously a challenge too, because in 30 years' time there's going to be less kids coming through the system. Yeah,
that's true, and this is and kids will go to places where they can be ready sooner. So how did we now? I mean, how did humanity evolve whereby you are only useful after you graduated from college at age 21? These social concepts are relatively new to humanity, and somehow we take it for granted.
You make me really think about it. It's fascinating to try and understand that and see how that will play out in our lifetimes.
Yeah. We are at the edge of challenging a lot of concepts, by the way. I think soon enough, the whole concept of success, the whole concept of happiness, concepts of love, a lot of these concepts are going to get major recontemplation globally. It will become phenomena. The things that you'd never expect to be discussed.
Give me an example.
What is success? I'm sure that the way you thought of success for a good period of time was to graduate from college, get a certificate, get married, have a kid, build a house, get promoted, get a good job, get to travel. But where's the root of all of this? How did it become the definition of success?
That sounded so boring as you said that just then. It sounded so, gosh, is that what success was? Yeah.
But wasn't that? And it's still, the vast majority of people gauge success according to these variables. And the sad part is that they gauge happiness according to these variables. So you should only be happy if you have got the greatest marks. And you got that job, and you got that woman, and you got so many kids, and then you got that promotion. It's always in the future. It's always, you've been taught that time is so important. Is it? I don't think so. I think what matters the most is your status on average. Mentally, and your well-being status on average. That's what matters the most. That's the most real thing. Because the others, I don't know how real they are. I wonder.
Do you live for today?
I try. I mean, whoever says that they do, they're lying. We are so entrenched into a society with a certain mental structure. But what I say is that as long as you try to live the day, or the way I gauge quality of day is, do you sleep in peace? Do you wake up excited? The more days you have of good sleep and waking excited, the better on average your life is, or quality of life, realistically, even from a chemical configuration. You understand me? How the sea of hormones that your brain lives in. This is how I believe is the most realistic measure of quality of life. More so than have you ticked these future boxes upon which you should then be happy.
Live for the moment. It's like, I have a friend of mine who's...
You try. I'm not saying you can do 10%. Nobody can.
I have a friend of mine that's very wealthy, and he lives, even though he's very wealthy, he lives in fear.
Anxiety.
He has anxiety every day. Even though he's wealthy, he has anxiety over losing it all, or what could happen tomorrow. And I look at him and I'm like, you don't need to worry about anything. Your health is all you need to worry about.
Yeah, but this is how he became rich.
Yeah.
It's because he's always in a fight mode. Okay, he's always conscious. He's super zoomed into problems. Mm-hmm. You can't blame him. I mean, the most entrepreneurs, most successful men are depressed and anxious. But that's a reason why they are successful. It's because they are in problem-solving mode all the time. Yeah, to get out of it and to adjust to a lifestyle that has less depression and anxiety and less fear and less fight. It's not easy, man. It is not easy. But to have the conviction, to understand the logic behind living as many days as peaceful as possible is the first step. And to think it is a black and white thing, it's never black and white. It really boils down to the mix of chemicals you have in your brain. So it's never really black and white. It's always a salad. It's always a cocktail. You understand me? So to have an averagely, if I have 2-3 days in a week whereby I'm in peace and I relatively content, I think that is a success, in my opinion. That is the definition of success. Yeah, and it's all unqualified either ways. That's my personal opinion.
Dr. Adil Alzarooni, it's really, really lovely talking to you and learning about your story, your background, and how you see the world, and how you see life. And I wish more people could be like you, because I just think we might be a little bit more light-hearted about now and more optimistic about the future.
Yeah, that's humanity. That's society.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it.